I'm Isla, and welcome to the Lore Lodge. Tonight, I'll be guiding you through the world of Sophia and the Macula Before Resonance, a Plague Tale legacy. Get comfortable, close your eyes, let your shoulders drop. The story is waiting. Picture this. You are standing on the deck of a ship. Not a grand vessel of war, nor a merchant's heavy cog, but something more nimble, more personal. The wood beneath your bare feet is warm from a sun that has spent all day blessing the waves. You can feel the gentle, rhythmic sway of the hull as it crests a low, sleeping swell. It's a motion you know better than the solid ground of the land you left behind. A soft breeze, tasting of salt and distant lands, teases the loose fabric of your shirt. You lift your face to it and take a deep breath. It doesn't smell of the plague. It doesn't smell of fear or burning pyres. It smells of freedom. The creak of the mast, the quiet snap of the sail as it finds the wind, the soft lapping of water against the hull. This is your sanctuary. This is the sea turtle. And this is the world of Sophia. Before you sail to the cursed island of La Cunha, before you meet two desperate children who will change the course of your life, before you witness the awesome and terrible power of an ancient bloodline, there is just this: the sea, the stars, and the life you have carved out for yourself with your own two hands and an unshakable will. You are a smuggler, a pirate, some might whisper in the dockside taverns, though they would not say it to your face. You prefer the term transporter, or perhaps purveyor of rare goods. It sounds more professional. You are a woman who knows the secret paths of the sea, the hidden coves where customs officials dare not venture, and the quiet languages of tides and constellations. In the brutal, unforgiving world of 14th century France, a world drowning in plague and superstition, you have found your own kingdom. A floating kingdom of one. To understand Sophia, you must first understand her relationship with the water. The land is a place of rigid hierarchies, of lords and serfs, of inquisitors and heretics. It is a place of borders and walls, both physical and social. A woman alone is a target, an anomaly, a problem to be solved by marriage or accusation. But the sea does not care about your name, your gender, or your birth. It asks only for skill, for respect, for the knowledge to read its moods and navigate its dangers. And you have that knowledge in abundance. You know the stars, as well as a scholar knows his books. To you, they are not just distant points of light, but a map, a grand, celestial chart laid out across the velvet black of the night sky. You can find your way from the coast of Italy to the shores of Africa with nothing but a simple astrolabe and the silent guidance of Polaris. It's a kind of magic, but it isn't. It's science. It's observation and mathematics, a skill honed over thousands of nights spent on this very deck, feeling the ship move beneath you as a living thing. Your hands, resting on the smooth, worn wood of the ship's railing, are not the delicate hands of a noble lady. They are calloused and strong. They know the bite of rope, the weight of a tiller, the intricate work of mending a sail. They are the hands of a survivor, a professional. In a world that seeks to put everyone in a box, you have built your own box, and it sails wherever you please. Your life is one of contracts and connections. You have a network of contacts in every major port along the Mediterranean. People who know that if you need something moved quietly, without attracting the attention of the authorities or the Inquisition, Sophia is the one to call. You deal in wine, in spices, in rare texts that the church would see burned. You deal in information, the most valuable currency of all. You are trusted not because you are good, but because you are reliable. You get the job done, no matter what. This pragmatism is the core of your being. You've seen too much to believe in grand ideals or saviors. You believe in what you can see and touch, the solid deck of your ship, the weight of coin in your purse, the keen edge of the knife at your belt. When you first meet the knight, Arnaud, he is a man driven by duty and a desperate oath. You see him not as a hero, but as a liability, a loud, armored problem that will likely get you killed. Yet, you take the job. Why? Because the pay is good, of course. Exceptionally good. Enough to keep the sea turtle in repairs for a year. Enough to buy the finest silks from the East if you so desired. But there is something else, isn't there? A flicker of curiosity. The story he tells is wild. An island that can cure a mysterious ailment in a young boy. An ancient order of alchemists and mystics. It sounds like a fairy tale, the kind of story sailors tell after too much cheap wine. But you've sailed long enough to know that the world is bigger and stranger than most people believe. You've seen phosphorescence in the water that makes the sea glow like a liquid sky. You've heard the songs of whales in the deep, a sound so ancient and mournful it feels like the planet itself is speaking. So, you listen, you weigh the risks, and you agree. Not because you believe his story, but because the challenge of it, the sheer audacity of sailing to a mythical island, appeals to the part of you that still yearns for the blank spaces on the map. The journey to La Cunha is not a simple one. It requires all of your skill. You plot a course through treacherous waters, avoiding patrols from warring nations and the ever-present threat of pirates less scrupulous than yourself. You feel the ship respond to your touch, a faithful extension of your will. The days are spent watching the horizon, feeling the subtle shifts in the wind. The nights are for navigation, for quiet contemplation under a canopy of stars, so bright they seem close enough to touch. On the deck, you watch your passengers. The boy, Hugo, is quiet and frail, his eyes holding a depth of sadness no child should know. His sister, Amicia, is fierce and protective, her gaze sharp and mistrustful. She watches you as closely as you watch the weather, judging your every move. And the night, Arnaud, is a storm of barely contained violence and grief. They are a broken family, adrift in a broken world. And for a time, your ship is their only refuge. You keep your distance. You are their captain, not their friend. You provide passage, not comfort, but you watch. You see the bond between the siblings. You hear their whispered conversations at night. You see the way Amicia tends to Hugo, her touch gentle, her voice soft. It's a vulnerability you have not allowed yourself in a very, very long time. It is a reminder of a life you chose to leave behind on the shore. Then, one day, it appears. A smudge on the horizon that slowly resolves into a landmass. La Cunha. The island does not look like any place you have ever seen. As you draw closer, you see that the vegetation is wrong. The trees are twisted into strange shapes, and the flowers that bloom along the cliffs are a shade of crimson, so deep it looks like freshly spilled blood. The air itself feels different, heavy, still, charged with a strange energy that makes the hairs on your arms stand up. There is no bustling port to greet you, just a secluded, hidden harbor, clearly designed to be missed. As the sea turtle glides into the calm, unnaturally clear water of the bay, a profound silence descends. The usual cries of gulls are absent. The hum of insects is gone. There is only the gentle lapping of the water and the sound of your own breathing. Your sailor's instincts are screaming that this place is unnatural, that you should turn the ship around and sail away as fast as the wind will carry you. But the deal is the deal, and your curiosity is now fully awake. You drop anchor, the chain rattling in the eerie quiet, the sound unnervingly loud. You have arrived at the edge of the map. You have sailed into the heart of a myth, and nothing will ever be the same again. Stepping onto the soil of Lacuna is like stepping into another world. The ground beneath your feet feels ancient, and the air carries a strange, sweet scent, like overripe fruit and damp earth. You are met by the representatives of the order, men and women cloaked in shadow and secrets. They speak in hushed tones of the carrier and the protector, of thresholds and the macula. To your pragmatic ears, it is all just religious nonsense. But they lead you through their fortress, and you begin to see things that chip away at your skepticism. The architecture is a bizarre blend of styles spanning centuries, as if the fortress was built and rebuilt over and over again. You see murals depicting events from history, but with a strange twist, a dark, swirling energy at the heart of them all. You see alchemical laboratories filled with bubbling concoctions and charts of the human body that are unlike any you have ever seen. This is not just a cult. This is a scientific society, centuries old, dedicated to the study of a single, terrible phenomenon. And at the center of it all is the macula, the prima macula. You learn that it is not a disease, as you first assumed. The order's scholars, in their hushed, reverent tones, explain it to you. Imagine, they say, a life form from a time before humanity. An entity that exists in the blood, passed down through a single, ancient family line. It is not inherently evil, they insist. It is a force of nature, a symbiotic partner that, when in balance, can grant extraordinary abilities. But for centuries, the balance has been lost. It lies dormant for generations, a whisper in the blood. But when it awakens in a new carrier, usually a child, it begins a process, a series of transformations they call thresholds. You listen, a knot tightening in your stomach, as you realize they are talking about Hugo. The small, quiet boy on your ship is the host to something ancient and unimaginably powerful. They tell you of the first threshold, the initial awakening, often triggered by trauma. For Hugo, it was the death of his father and the destruction of his home. Then comes the second threshold, where the carrier begins to influence the world around them. Specifically, they gain a connection to rats. Billions of them, lying dormant deep within the earth, waiting for the call. The plague, the Black Death that is ravaging Europe, they believe it is all connected to the macula. The rats are not the cause. They are a symptom, an instrument of the macula's will, amplified by the carrier's fear and pain. This is the point where the story becomes too large to dismiss. You have seen the rat swarms. You have seen entire towns devoured by a chittering black tide. You thought it was a natural disaster, a horrifying but mindless plague. To learn that it might be connected to the small boy you brought here, that it could be controlled, even directed, the idea is staggering. It is like learning that a child's tantrum could cause an earthquake. The Order's goal is to help Hugo control this power, to guide him, to train him, to prevent him from reaching the final, terrible threshold where the macula consumes its host entirely and unleashes its full, world-ending power. They speak of a previous carrier, Basilius, in the 6th century. He was the one who brought about the plague of Justinian, a pestilence that wiped out nearly half the population of the Byzantine Empire. They show you ancient texts, records from their predecessors who fought and failed to contain Basilius. His story is a cautionary tale, a ghost that haunts the halls of Lacuna. You walk through their archives, the air cool and smelling of old paper and dust. You see anatomical drawings of the macula's progression, strange vine-like patterns spreading through a diagram of a human body. You see star charts that align with historical outbreaks of the plague. It is a vast, terrifying puzzle, and for the first time, you feel like a very small piece in a very large game. And then there is the matter of the protector. The order believes that for every carrier, there is a protector, a person whose presence can soothe the macula, keep the carrier calm, and help them maintain control. For Hugo, that person is his sister, Amicia. Their bond, the fierce loyalty you observed on the ship, is not just familial love. It is a key, a crucial element in the chemical equation that might just save the world. You, the cynical smuggler who believes in nothing but herself, are now standing in the middle of a story about a magical child, his destined guardian, and an ancient parasite that can command armies of rats. Life, you reflect with a dry, internal humor, has become significantly more complicated. You start to see the cracks in the Order's calm facade, the desperate hope in the eyes of their leader, Vaudin, the fanaticism in others. They have studied the macula for 1,000 years, but they do not truly understand it. They are like people living at the base of a volcano, meticulously documenting its every tremor, believing they can control the eruption when it finally comes. Your pragmatism tells you they are fools. But your heart, a part of you that you thought had long since hardened, looks at Hugo and Amicia and feels a reluctant stirring of something else, a desire to help, to protect. The cool stone walls of the fortress feel like a tomb. You find yourself yearning for the open deck of the sea turtle, for the familiar feel of the sea breeze. This island, for all its supposed purpose as a sanctuary, feels like a cage. A beautiful, elaborate cage built to contain a power far beyond human comprehension. And you have just delivered the key. This encounter with the macula on Lacuna changes you. It has to. It forces you to accept that the world is governed by forces beyond the predictable cycles of tide and trade. But it also raises a question, a memory from your past. Was this truly your first encounter with such strangeness? The world of a plague tale is steeped in forgotten history and whispered myths. It is not a leap to imagine that a life spent sailing to forgotten corners of the world might have brought you into contact with other, similar mysteries before. This is where we look back into the 15 years before you met the Darun children. This is the unwritten chapter, the story that the upcoming prequel, Resonance, promises to tell. Let's imagine that time. Picture yourself as a younger woman. Perhaps not yet the master of your own ship, but a deckhand on another vessel. Your hair is not yet touched by the gray of stress and experience. Your eyes, though still sharp, hold more curiosity than caution. You are learning the ways of the sea, the 1,000 different kinds of knots, each with its own purpose. The art of reading the clouds to predict a coming storm. The subtle language of a creaking hull that tells you if the ship is strained. You feel the rough texture of the ropes, the constant dampness, the taste of salt that is always on your lips. It is a hard life, but it is an honest one. and it is yours. In the ports you visit, Venice, Constantinople, Alexandria, you hear stories. Sailors are natural storytellers, and in the flickering light of a tavern's hearth, you listen to tales of ghost ships, of sea monsters, of islands that appear and disappear with the fog. Most are just drunken fantasies. But some have the ring of truth to them. Stories of ruins on remote islands, marked with symbols that no one can read. Tales of strange lights beneath the waves, or of cargo that seems to hum with a life of its own. Perhaps this is how your career as a smuggler of rare goods begins. Not with a desire for wealth, but with a thirst for knowledge. You transport an ancient scroll for a mysterious scholar. On the journey, you unroll it carefully and see not words, but diagrams of celestial bodies and what look like chemical formulas. It means nothing to you, but it plants a seed. You realize there is a hidden world, a world of alchemists and secret societies operating in the shadows of the one you know. The official announcement for Resonance tells us it will follow you, Sophia, as you explore an island and uncover ancient myths connected to the origins of forces like the Macula. This suggests that Lacuna was not your first encounter with the Order or their sphere of influence. It was simply the most direct, the most world-shattering. Perhaps years earlier you took on a contract that led you to a different island, a different set of ruins, a different piece of the puzzle. Imagine you are on that journey. You are contracted by a wealthy patron who wishes to retrieve something from an abandoned family estate on a remote island. It sounds simple enough, but when you arrive, the estate is far older than you were told. The stones are weathered by centuries, not decades, and the symbols carved above the doorways are not a family crest. They are alchemical. You recognize one from the scroll you once carried, Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, the symbol of eternity and cycles. Inside you find not treasure, but a laboratory. Dust lies thick on everything. Glass vials, shattered and empty. Books, their pages turned to brittle wafers. But on a central table, a chart. A map of a human body, and over its heart, a drawing of a swirling dark nebula. It is primitive, less detailed than the work you will one day see on Lacuna, but it is unmistakable. It is the Macula. Here, in this forgotten place, is evidence that someone else was studying it, perhaps even trying to control it or create it. This experience would recontextualize your entire worldview. It would explain the hardened pragmatist we meet in Requiem. You are not just a smuggler who is cynical about the world. You are a smuggler who has peeked behind the curtain and seen the terrifying machinery that makes the world turn. You know that history is not just a story of kings and queens, but of secret wars fought by shadowy organizations over powers that defy belief. You learned, long ago, not to get involved, to stick to the tangible world of ships and coin, and leave the magic and monsters to those foolish enough to seek them out. This would explain why you were so hesitant to believe Arnaud, but also why you were ultimately willing to take the job. It was not a fairy tale to you. It was a half-remembered nightmare. The mention of the Order, of an ancient bloodline, it would have rung a distant, chilling bell. Your decision to sail to Lacuna becomes less about greed and more about a need to confirm what you suspected. To see for yourself the full scope of the power you once glimpsed in a dusty ruin. The name of the new game, Resonance, is evocative. Resonance is a phenomenon where a vibrating system drives another system to oscillate with greater amplitude. one story echoing and amplifying another. Perhaps your early adventures on that first forgotten island created a resonance that would, 15 years later, draw you into the orbit of Hugo de Rune. Perhaps the Macula itself has a kind of memory, and your proximity to one of its sites marked you, made you a person of interest to the ancient forces at play. You are a navigator. Your entire life is about finding connections between points, between a port and a destination, between a star and a position on the sea. Over the years, you started to see other connections, the rise and fall of plagues throughout history, the recurring symbols in alchemical texts, the whispers of bloodlines with strange abilities. You started drawing lines, connecting the dots, creating a map not of the sea, but of a secret history. You are not just a transporter of goods. You are a collector of secrets. It is a dangerous hobby, but it is the one thing, other than the sea itself, that makes you feel truly alive. The woman we meet in A Plague Tale, Requiem, is the finished product, forged by years of this life. She is cautious because she knows what lurks in the shadows. She is resourceful because she has had to rely on herself to survive in a world far more dangerous than anyone knows. And she is tired. So very tired of the secrets and the running. When she meets Amicia and Hugo, she sees two children being crushed by the same hidden world that has defined her own life. And in that moment of recognition, the professional smuggler gives way, just for a moment, to the woman who understands. The woman who knows what it is to be alone against the tide. So let us return to where we began, to the deck of the Sea Turtle, long before Lacuna, long before the de Runes. You are at anchor in a quiet, moonlit bay. The job is done. The cargo is delivered. The coin is safely stowed. For a brief time, there is peace. You lie on your back on the deck, the familiar wood still holding the warmth of the day. Above you, the Milky Way is a luminous river of light, a sight undimmed by the modern world's glow. You trace the constellations with your eyes. The Great Bear, Cassiopeia, Orion the Hunter. They are old friends, constant companions on your lonely journeys. They are predictable, reliable. They follow laws. The world of men, with its plagues and wars and mad superstitions, is chaotic and cruel. But up there, in the silent clockwork turning of the heavens, there is order. There is peace. This is why you love the sea. It brings you closer to the stars and further from the madness of the land. The gentle rocking of the ship is like a cradle. The soft whisper of water against the hull is a lullaby. You think about the secrets you carry, the maps to ruins that should not exist, the knowledge of forces that could unmake the world. They are a heavy cargo, heavier than any crate of wine or spice. But out here, on the dark, quiet water, you can almost forget them. You can almost believe that you are just a sailor, a woman on a boat, alone with the sea and the sky. Your story is one of survival and discovery, of a woman who chose freedom over safety, and in doing so, found herself navigating the treacherous currents of history itself, a witness to the awesome, terrifying power of the Macula. A friend to the last people on Earth who could control it. You are Sophia, the Navigator, the survivor, and your journey is far from over. But for tonight, you can rest. Here in the calm of the harbor, rocked by the gentle tide, the stars are keeping watch, the sea holds you safe, and the next adventure can wait until the morning. Close your eyes and drift. The story will continue, but for now, there is only the quiet of the water and the deep, peaceful silence of the night. You feel the gentle, rhythmic sway of the boat beneath you. It is a constant, comforting motion, a cradle rocked by the vast hand of the ocean. The salt air, once sharp and biting, now feels cleansing on your skin. It has washed away the dust of Provence, the scent of plague and fire. All that remains is the clean, deep smell of the sea and the faint, pleasing aroma of weathered wood and tarred rope from the hull of the Phoenix. Sophia stands at the tiller, her hand resting upon it with a familiarity that speaks of 1,000 other voyages. Her gaze is not fixed on the horizon ahead, but upwards, towards the diamond-scattered canvas of the night sky. To you, it is a beautiful, chaotic spread of light. To her, it is a map, a clock, a promise. Each star is a landmark, each constellation a signpost on a road made of water and darkness. She navigates not by what she can see in front of her, but by the ancient, unwavering light from above. She does not speak much. Words seem unnecessary out here. The creak of the mast, the soft flap of the sail as it catches a breeze, the whisper of water against the hull. These are the sounds that fill the space. They are a language she has understood her entire life. You see in her a profound sense of peace, a quiet confidence that is not boastful, but deeply rooted. She is not a visitor on the ocean. She is a part of it. Home at last. This journey is different from all her others. It is not for coin or for treasure, or to escape the clutches of some spurned naval captain. It is a voyage of preservation. She is not smuggling silks or spices. She is carrying the most precious cargo of all. Hope. A future for two children who have known only shadow. She glances back at Amicia and Hugo, who are sleeping soundly below deck, and a softness crosses her features that you have rarely seen. The hardened pirate, the cynical smuggler, has become a guardian. And so you sail. Days blend into nights. The sun rises, painting the water in hues of gold and rose, and sets in a blaze of orange and violet. The coastline of Europe has long since vanished. There is no land in sight. Just the endless, mesmerizing expanse of blue meeting blue. It is an experience that could feel terrifying, to be so small in such a vast emptiness. But with Sophia at the helm, it feels safe. It feels like a transition. Like being held between one world and the next. She is sailing them off the edge of the map, beyond the reach of counts and inquisitors, beyond the grasp of the Macula. She is navigating them into a new story, a blank page upon which Amicia and Hugo can write their own lives. In doing this, Sophia too is sailing out of her own history and into something else entirely. She is becoming a legend, the kind of figure people speak of in hushed tones in taverns. The pirate queen who saved the carrier and his protector. The woman who sailed a ship named for rebirth straight into the dawn. Her legacy will not be carved in stone or recorded in the annals of any kingdom. It exists in the quiet continuity of life she has secured. It will be found in the laughter of Hugo as he grows older, free from his curse. It will live in the strength of Amicia, no longer a warrior but a sister, a guardian, a woman allowed to find peace. Sophia's story becomes a private myth, a treasured memory held by the few people who mattered most. You watch her one last time, a silhouette against the rising sun. Her hair catches the light like spun copper. Her hand is steady on the tiller. The Phoenix sails on, a determined speck of wood and hope on an endless sea. She does not look back. Her gaze is fixed forward, towards a shore that only she can see. The woman who sailed into myth, leaving behind not an ending, but a new beginning. And as the ship glides onward, the rhythmic sound of the waves becomes a gentle, final lullaby. And so, you are left with the echo of her story. A tale that began in the heart of a plague-ridden world and ended somewhere over the horizon, in a place only she could find. Her physical journey had an end, but the journey of her legend was only just beginning. It became a story whispered from one port to another, a piece of folklore carried on the salty sea breeze. This is how a person becomes a myth. Not through grand battles or monuments of stone, but through the quiet spaces they leave behind. The questions that have no certain answers. Did she find her island? Did she find peace? The lack of a definitive answer is what allows the story to live, to breathe, to change its shape for whoever needs to hear it. For some, she is a symbol of hope. For others, a cautionary tale of obsession. But for everyone, she is a testament to the human spirit's refusal to surrender. You can feel the weight of that legacy, a quiet and reassuring presence. It's the same legacy that Amicia and Hugo would eventually feel. Sophia's story was not just a historical account for them, it was a promise. A promise that a different life was possible, that the cycle of pain and running did not have to be endless. It was a map drawn not on parchment, but on the heart, pointing towards a place of acceptance and calm. Her tale transcends its own setting. It becomes a universal story about seeking a cure, not just for the body, but for the soul. It is about the search for a place where you are not defined by your burdens, but by your resilience. We all have our own version of the Macula, a shadow we carry, and we all dream of our own quiet island, a personal sanctuary where the storm cannot reach us. Sophia simply had the courage to build a ship and set sail for hers. Imagine you are standing on a quiet shoreline at dusk. The sea is a deep, tranquil blue, mirroring the fading colors of the sky. The waves are gentle, sighing against the sand in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. This is the ocean Sophia sailed. The same water, the same stars beginning to appear overhead. The air is cool on your skin, carrying the clean scent of salt and distance. You feel a sense of profound peace in this place, a connection to her long finished journey. Her name, Sophia, means wisdom. And perhaps that was her greatest discovery. Not an island, not a magical cure, but the wisdom to understand what she could and could not change. The wisdom to stop fighting the storm and instead learn to navigate it, to find a current that would carry her towards peace, even if that peace was simply the act of searching for it. Her final legacy is that quiet understanding. The legend of Sophia the Navigator is, in the end, a lullaby. It is a story that says, even in the darkest of worlds, beset by rats and ruin and despair, there is always a horizon. There is always the possibility of a calm sea, a gentle wind, and a safe harbor waiting for you. It assures you that every voyage, no matter how difficult, eventually finds its way to a quiet shore. And as you stand there, watching the last light fade from the water, you understand. The story is complete. The ship has reached its destination, and all that is left is the gentle, rhythmic sound of the waves, washing the shore clean over and over again until all is still, all is quiet, and all is well. In our last story, we sailed with Sophia, the woman who became a legend on the waves, a navigator who could read the stars as easily as you or I might read a book. But every journey has a beginning. And her most important voyage wasn't across an ocean of water, but an ocean of time, a search for a truth buried for 1,000 years. Imagine you are in her cabin aboard the Sea Snake, not the grand vessel you might picture. Nothing so romantic. It's a small, practical ship that's seen its share of storms. The air is thick with the scent of salt, damp wood, and the beeswax from a single candle that gutters and dances on her small desk. And spread out before you is not a sea chart, but a collection of old parchments. Fragments. Some are copies of Roman texts, others pages torn from monastic chronicles. They are pieces of a puzzle that almost no one knows exists. Your finger traces a line on one of the maps, a coastline that looks vaguely familiar, yet wrong, distorted by time and the forgotten names of forgotten places. This is Sophia's work, her obsession. Long before she met two young nobles fleeing the Inquisition, she was on a different hunt. She was hunting a ghost, a whisper in the blood known as the Macula. To understand her journey, you have to understand what she was looking for. You have to travel back with her, not on her ship, but through these scattered pages of lore, to the very beginning, the first city, the first carrier, to an empire of gold and marble that believed itself the center of the world, just before the darkness fell. Let your mind drift. Leave the gentle rocking of the ship behind. Let the candle flame dissolve. We are going to walk the streets of Constantinople in the year of our Lord, 541, the heart of the Byzantine Empire. The city is a symphony of life, the capital of the world, and it knows it. The air, thick with the aroma of spices from the east, mingles with the salty tang of the Bosphorus Strait. You can hear a dozen languages in the Grand Forum. Merchants in fine silks haggle over prices, their voices a low hum beneath the chiming of church bells. The sun warms the marble of the colonnades that line the main thoroughfare, the messy. It feels solid under your feet. Eternal. An empire at the absolute peak of its power under the Emperor Justinian. But we aren't here for the grandeur. We're here for the shadows. You turn away from the bustling main street and into a quieter district. Here, the buildings are older, leaning against one another like old friends. The scent of baking bread wafts from an open doorway. We are listening for whispers. Rumors that travel faster than any official decree. Stories of a strange sickness in the outer provinces. Something that came from the grain ships of Egypt. At first, no one pays it much mind. Sickness is a part of life. Fevers come and go. But these stories are different. They speak of shadows that move where they shouldn't, of a fever that brings with it not just weakness, but visions. Nightmares that cling to the waking world. These are the first stirrings of the prima Macula, the first time it awakens in recorded history. Now, you have to understand something crucial. The people of this time do not call it the Macula. That name comes much later, from the alchemists who would dedicate their lives to it. To the citizens of Constantinople, it is simply the plague. A divine punishment, a curse. They see the symptom, not the cause, the fire, not the spark. The spark is a child, a young boy named Basilius. You can picture him, not as a monster, but as a child caught in a storm he cannot comprehend. He lives in a modest home, in one of the city's labyrinthine neighborhoods. He has a family. He plays with other children in the dusty streets. But there is a change in him. His eyes, once bright, now hold a depth that is unsettling. He speaks of dreams filled with crawling things. He draws strange symbols in the dirt. He carries the ancient bloodline. The potential for the Macula has been dormant in his family for generations, a silent passenger waiting for the right moment. the right conditions. And in the bustling, glorious city of Constantinople, it has found them. The macula isn't just a disease, it's a relationship. A symbiotic bond between a specific human bloodline and a much older, chthonic force of nature. A force that commands the rat, the carrier of the flea, the bringer of the plague. With Basilius as a young woman, Aelia. His protector, not a warrior, but fiercely loyal. Sworn to his family, perhaps a servant, perhaps a distant relative. She is the only one who does not look at him with fear. When he trembles with fever, she holds a cool cloth to his head. When he speaks of the devouring light in his dreams, she listens. She is the first protector, the archetype for all who will follow. Imagine you are Aelia for a moment. You feel the weight of this secret. The boy you have known your whole life is changing. You see the fear in his parents' eyes. You hear the neighbors whispering, cursed, possessed. But you see something else. A scared child grappling with a power that is tearing him apart. The air around him seems to shimmer sometimes, and the rats, once a common nuisance, now seem to follow him. They gather in the alley behind his home, their dark eyes watching. Not with aggression, but with expectation, waiting. The stone floor of their small home is cool beneath your bare feet, a small comfort in the rising heat of the city and the fever that radiates from the boy. You are a shield, not of steel, but of will, standing between him and the world's fear. It is a lonely vigil. There is no one to turn to. No doctor has ever seen this. No priest can exorcise something woven into his very being. Then, the plague truly arrives. It doesn't creep into the city, it explodes. It comes off the ships in the Golden Horn, spreads from the granaries. People fall ill in the markets, in their homes, in the churches. The city's eternal hum falters, replaced by the sound of weeping and the rumble of death carts. The vibrant colors of the capital fade, replaced by the gray pallor of fear. The plague of Justinian has begun. History will remember it as one of the deadliest pandemics ever. And at its epicenter, in the quiet house away from the main thoroughfares, Basilius worsens. The macula inside him responds to the chaos. It feeds on it. The more the plague spreads, the more powerful it becomes. The rats are no longer just waiting. They are a tide, a living carpet of black that swarms the streets at night, a physical manifestation of the decay that has taken root in the boy's blood. They are the macula's first and most terrifying expression. Have you ever felt the air change just before a thunderstorm? That's the feeling in Constantinople now. The hope of an eternal empire is replaced by a primal, creeping dread. The smell of spices is overpowered by the stench of death and purifying fires. The city that was the light of the world is now a prison. Even the Emperor Justinian will fall sick, though he will recover. But his empire will be forever scarred. Its golden age brought to a brutal, shuddering halt. In the midst of this devastation, a new group emerges. They are not priests or soldiers. They are scholars, alchemists, men of science and mysticism, drawn to Constantinople by whispers of an unnatural phenomenon. They are the first members of what will become the Order. At this point, they are not villains. They are simply men desperate for an answer. They see the plague, they see the rats, and they see it all seems to radiate from a single point, from a single child. Their leader is a man of immense intellect and cold pragmatism. He approaches Aelia. He does not speak of curses. He speaks of alchemy, of balance, of a substance in the boy's blood he calls the prima macula. He offers not a cure, for he knows there is none. He offers containment, management. He speaks of a hidden sanctuary, a place where Basilius can be studied, protected from the world, and the world protected from him. Imagine Alia's choice. The world outside is dying. Her home is no longer safe. The neighbors now look at Basilius with hatred. They blame him. This stranger offers a sliver of hope, a promise of knowledge, a chance for the boy to live. With a heavy heart, she agrees. She and Basilius leave their home for the last time, escorted by these quiet, robed scholars through the dying streets of the once great city. They take him to a hidden laboratory, an old Roman cistern deep beneath the city. You follow them down. The air grows cool and damp, smelling of wet stone and deep earth. The sounds of the suffering city fade, replaced by the echo of your footsteps and the slow drip of water. You know that feeling when you walk into a very old building and the silence seems to have weight? That's this place. Here, they begin their work. Taking blood. Documenting his every nightmare. They are not trying to save him. They are trying to understand him. For Alia, this sanctuary is a new kind of prison. She watches as they treat Basilius not as a person, but as a vessel, a precious, dangerous object. She sees the macula progress through its thresholds. The first, the headaches. The second, control of the rats. And she lives in constant fear of the third threshold, the one the alchemists only whisper about, the point of no return. She becomes his anchor, his only connection to the person he was. She tells him stories of the world above, of the sun on the marble forums, of the taste of fresh bread. She fights to keep the boy alive inside the storm of the macula. A battle fought every single day, in the cold, subterranean twilight of the Order's laboratory. She is the first to understand that the protector's role is not just to defend the carrier's body, but to defend their humanity. This period, the time of Basilius and Alia, becomes the foundational myth of the Order, their sacred texts. They learn of the macula's stages. They learn that stress and fear accelerate its progress. But they learn it all too late. Justinian's plague eventually recedes. The city endures, a shadow of its former self. And deep beneath it, Basilius reaches a point where he can no longer be contained. The details of what happened next are lost to time, or maybe deliberately obscured. All that is known is that Basilius is gone, and Alia with him. They vanish. Perhaps they escaped. Perhaps they were consumed. The Order is left with its knowledge, its laboratories, and a single, terrifying purpose: find the next carrier. Be ready. They have a name for this person, a title from a prophecy they uncovered: the Child of Embers. Now, let Constantinople fade. The stone walls of the cistern dissolve. Return to the gentle rocking of the ship, to Sophia's cabin. The candle has burned lower. The parchments before you seem heavier now, more real. This is the story Sophia has pieced together. The ghost she is hunting. She knows the macula did not die with Basilius. It simply went to sleep. The bloodline continued, silently, through the centuries, a secret hidden in plain sight. For nearly 800 years, there is silence. The macula lies dormant. The bloodline is scattered across Europe by migrations, wars, marriages. The Order watches. It grows in power, its agents infiltrating royal courts and religious institutions. But it is a hollow power, They are guardians of a prison whose inmate has long since vanished, keepers of a flame that has gone out. Their purpose has faded into ritual. Imagine the lives of the Order's members during these long, quiet centuries. You are a young acolyte. You spend your days in a scriptorium, a quiet, vaulted room that smells of ink and aging paper. Your task is to copy the accounts of Basilius and Aelia. The ink is dark on the vellum, the candlelight casting long shadows as you work. The story feels like a fable, a myth from a distant past. You trace the alchemical symbols for the thresholds. You read of the protector's bond. It is history, theology, not a practical guide. The senior members speak of the Child of Embers as a messianic figure, whose coming is always imminent but never arrives. Generations of your order have lived and died, waiting. The search has become an act of faith, not of science. Some even doubt the Macula was ever real. You feel the weight of this waiting, the stillness of it, like holding your breath for 1,000 years. The world outside changes. Empires rise and fall. But in the hidden fortresses of the Order, time stands still. They collect knowledge. They perfect their elixirs. They watch the noble bloodlines of Europe, looking for any sign, any hint of the carrier's reemergence. It is this waiting that Sophia is trying to understand. Her parchments are not just about the past. They are about this long, dark silence. She believes the Order missed something. They were so focused on the bloodline, on the carrier, that they ignored another crucial piece of the puzzle: the place, the environment. The Macula didn't awaken in Basilius by pure RNG. Something in Constantinople triggered it. Her finger comes to rest on a different map. This one is newer, barely 200 years old. It shows an archipelago, a cluster of islands in a stretch of ocean other sailors avoid, the Serpent's Cradle, a place of strange fogs and unpredictable currents. Sailors who have strayed too near speak of shores littered with shipwrecks from every era. They speak of a quiet that is too deep, an unnatural stillness. Among her notes is a fragment from a disgraced alchemist of the Order, cast out for his heretical theories. He believed the Macula was not simply a passenger in human blood. He believed it had a source, a physical anchor in the world. A nest or a well from which its influence emanated. His final, desperate writings pointed towards the Serpent's Cradle. This is Sophia's goal. Why you are on this ship, sailing into dangerous waters. She is not just following the ghost of Basilius. She is following the path of this forgotten heretic. She believes that to understand the Macula, you have to go to its heart, its home. And she is willing to risk everything to find it. This journey, 15 years before she will meet the Darun children, is the defining moment of her life. You stand on the deck with her. It is night. The sea is calm, like black glass. The only sound is the creak of the ship's timbers and the soft flap of the sails in a gentle breeze. The air is cooler now, carrying the scent of open ocean. Above, the stars are a brilliant, silent map. Sophia stands at the helm, her eyes not on the stars she knows so well, but on the dark horizon ahead. She is navigating by instinct now, by the pull of the mystery she has chased for so long. Then you see it, a darker shape against the blackness, an island. It rises from the sea, a jagged silhouette. There are no lights, no sign of habitation. As the ship draws closer, you can hear a new sound, the gentle wash of waves on a shore. You feel a strange sense of anticipation, mixed with a primal, inexplicable unease. This place feels old, ancient, as if it has been waiting. The ship anchors in a sheltered cove. The next morning you go ashore. The air on the island is different, heavy, humid. It smells of damp earth, rich soil, and a sweet, cloying scent of unknown blossoms. The vegetation is lush, strangely overgrown. Colors seem more vivid here, and the quiet is absolute. No birdsong, no sound of insects, just the whisper of the wind through enormous, unfamiliar trees. The ground is soft under your boots, a carpet of moss and fallen leaves. As you move inland, you begin to see them. Ruins, but not like any you have seen before. Not Roman, not Greek. The stone is a dark, almost volcanic rock, carved with swirling patterns that seem to mimic flowing water or twisting roots. They are buildings, their purpose unclear. Shrines? Laboratories? They are being slowly reclaimed by the jungle, great roots splitting the ancient masonry. Sophia moves with a quiet purpose, not exploring at random. She consults a small, hand-drawn chart from the heretic's journal. She is looking for a focal point. You feel as though you are walking through a dream. The light that filters through the dense canopy is green and hazy, making everything feel submerged, as if you are moving through a deep, silent ocean. This is where Sophia hopes to find the answers the Order never could. The Order focused on the blood, but here, you are surrounded by the other half of the equation, the soil. The place itself seems saturated with a strange energy. You can almost feel it. A low thrum, just at the edge of hearing. It is not menacing, not evil, just present. A vast and ancient power that is sleeping, but not dead. You come to a clearing. In the center stands a structure, more intact than the others. A low, circular building made of the same dark stone. The entrance is a gaping, dark maw. This is it. As you stand before it, the low hum is stronger. You feel a coolness emanating from the doorway, like the air from a deep cellar. Sophia lights a torch. The flame sputters, as if the air is reluctant to feed it. She steps inside, and you follow. You are in a single, large chamber. The walls are covered in the same swirling carvings, but more intricate here. They seem to tell a story. A story of a connection between the sky, the earth, and the blood. You see depictions of people, their veins glowing. You see them tending to the land. And you see images of rats, not as a plague, but as guardians, servants. In the center of the chamber is a well, a circular opening in the floor descending into darkness. The stone around its edge is worn smooth, as if by countless hands over countless centuries. The low hum you felt outside is coming from this abyss. It is a sound you feel in your bones. Sophia kneels at the edge, holding the torch over the opening. The light is swallowed by the darkness. It reveals nothing. This is the place the heretic wrote about, the wellspring, the source. It's not a place of evil. It's a place of immense natural power, like a volcano or the heart of a storm. And the macula, you realize, is not a curse. It is a biological process that links a human host to this raw, telluric energy. The rats are not an army of darkness. They are an immune system, a defense mechanism for the earth itself, triggered when the carrier is in distress. They swarm to protect the carrier and to eliminate whatever is causing that distress. In a crowded city, that threat is humanity itself. What an absolutely mind-blowing piece of world building. This power is not meant for our world. It belongs to an older time, a time of myth, of blood sacrifice, of a humanity more closely tied to the cycles of the earth. The Byzantine Empire, with its logic and its stone and its laws, was anathema to it. The Macula's awakening in Basilius was a reaction, a rejection. The last gasp of a dying magical world against the coming age of iron and reason. Sophia doesn't try to go further. She knows she can't. She has found what she came for, not an answer, but a better question. The question is not, how do we cure the macula? It is, how do we live with it? How can there be balance? Aelia, the first protector, understood this instinctively. Her love, her calm, were the only things that held the tide at bay. The Order, with their cold science and their fear, only ever made things worse. Their attempts to control the macula were like trying to dam the ocean. They only increased the pressure. As you stand in that ancient chamber, you feel the vastness of time. You think of the centuries of silence. The macula was not gone. It was just waiting for the bloodline to surface again, for a new carrier to be born into a world that would cause them pain. Fear. You realize the story of the macula is not about a plague. It is about a family, about the bond between a carrier and a protector, a bond of love and loyalty that is the only thing that can soothe this ancient, terrible power. Sophia has learned what she needs to know. Her role is not to be a scholar of the Order. Her role is to be a navigator, to guide, to protect. She will leave this island with a new understanding, a new purpose. She will not seek to control the macula. She will seek to understand the people who carry it. She knows, with a certainty that chills her to the bone, that it will wake again, and the world will not be ready. It is time to leave the island. You walk back through the silent, vibrant jungle. The ruins seem less mysterious now, more tragic. The remnants of a people who understood the balance, who lived in harmony with this power. What happened to them? Did they fail? Or did they simply fade away as the world changed around them? The island keeps its secrets. You board the sea snake. The ship weighs anchor and pulls away from the shore. You watch the island recede until it is once again just a dark shape against the horizon before being swallowed by the sea in the mist. The unnatural quiet fades, and the familiar sounds of the ocean return. The cry of a gull, the rhythmic creak of the ship. It feels like waking from a long, strange dream. The experience has changed you. Changed Sophia. She is no longer just a treasure hunter, a smuggler looking for the next score. She is a guardian in waiting. She carries the weight of this ancient knowledge. The knowledge that the greatest storms are not on the ocean, but in the blood. And that the only safe harbor is the strength of human connection. Let the gentle rocking of the ship carry you. The story of the macula is not one of impending doom. It is a story of endurance, of a power that sleeps and wakes with the cycles of the world, of a bloodline that carries a terrible gift, and of the simple human courage required to face it. Sophia will sail the seas for 15 more years. She will live her life, but she will always be watching, waiting, listening for the first whispers of the coming storm, the reawakening of the prima macula. And when it comes, in the form of a young boy named Hugo and his sister Amisha, she will be ready, not with an army or with alchemy, but with the wisdom she learned on a forgotten island, the wisdom of a protector. You trace the faded lines of a diagram sketched onto vellum, not a map of a place, but a concept, a triangle of forces. Carrier, Protector, Macula. The Order's alchemists saw it as a chemical equation to be solved through containment. But you see it differently now, through the lens of experience, through the memory of a boy and his sister. It was never an equation. It was a family, a bond. The alchemists, in their cold stone towers, they missed the most crucial element. They missed the humanity of it all. They documented the symptoms, the thresholds, the geological chaos, but they never properly recorded the state of the heart, the protector's heart, the carrier's soul. The texts you have gathered speak of Aelia, the first protector, in terms of failure, failed to contain the carrier, allowed emotion to cloud her judgment. Her devotion became her weakness. You push the brittle pages away and close your eyes, the scent of old paper and sea salt filling your small cabin. The gentle rock of the ship is a constant, soothing rhythm, a cradle on the endless water. Weakness. You see a terrible strength, the strength to stand by someone when the entire world tells you to run, to save yourself. You see Amisha in Aelia's story, the same fire, the same impossible burden placed on shoulders far too young. The Order saw the protector as a warden, a jailer, but that was their fatal mistake. The protector was never meant to be a cage. They were meant to be an anchor. And that is the key. The idea that has been forming in the quiet corners of your mind. Resonance. The Macula resonates with the world, with the earth, with the blood of its host. But it also resonates with the connection between the carrier and the protector. When that connection is one of fear, of control, the resonance becomes a destructive dissonance, a scream of feedback that tears the world apart. But what if the resonance could be one of peace, of acceptance? The Order never considered it. They were so focused on a cure, on eradication, they never stopped to ask if it could be lived with, if the carrier could be a part of the world, not its enemy. Aelia and Basilius were locked away, hidden from the sun, their bond tested not by love but by the stone walls of a prison. Their tragedy wasn't inevitable, it was engineered by fear. You pick up another scroll, a personal account from a junior member of the Order who witnessed the final days of Basilius. His Latin is rushed, panicked. He does not speak of a monster. He speaks of a lonely, terrified child, reaching for a sister who was kept from him. He describes the hum that preceded the devastation, not a hum of anger, but of sorrow, a sound of profound and cosmic loneliness. And in that moment, the path forward becomes a little clearer. It is not about finding a lost temple or a magical elixir, not about fighting the Macula. It is about understanding its song. It is about teaching the carrier and the protector a new harmony, one that does not end in a crescendo of rats and ruin, but fades into a gentle, lasting peace, a quiet hum of acceptance. Your search is not for a weapon. It is for a lullaby. Let your mind settle. Allow the day to fade into the background. Your only task now is to rest, to listen, and to drift. Imagine you are on the deck of a small ship, not a grand galleon, but a sturdy, working vessel that smells of salt and old timber. The sea around you is a calm expanse of deep gray, the color of twilight. For weeks, this has been your world. The gentle rock of the hull, the creak of the ropes, the vast, empty horizon. But now, something is different. The air has changed. It carries a new scent on the breeze, something earthy and green, a smell of damp soil and ancient stone. You feel a cool mist on your skin, a soft curtain hiding what lies ahead. You are Sophia, and your long journey is about to end. Or perhaps it is just beginning. You stand at the railing, your hands gripping the worn wood. The ship glides forward, silent, but for the soft lap of water against its sides. And then you see it, a shadow in the mist. At first, it is just a darkness, a deeper gray against the gray sky. But slowly, it takes form. The jagged lines of a cliff face, the dark, dense shape of a forest clinging to its slopes. An island. An island that appears on no map known to man. This is the place from the legends, the one spoken of in hushed tones in the hidden libraries of your order, the place you have sacrificed so much to find. 15 years from now, your path will cross with two desperate children, a brother and a sister bound by the curse you seek to understand. But that is a lifetime away. Tonight, you are a seeker, an alchemist, a scholar chasing a ghost. You are searching for the origin, the source, the place where the macula first bled into the world, the prima macula. The anchor drops with a quiet splash, the sound swallowed by the oppressive silence that seems to radiate from the shore. There are no gulls crying overhead, no sounds of life from the dense woods. It is as if the island itself is holding its breath, waiting. Your small boat is lowered, and you descend the rope ladder, your leather satchel heavy on your shoulder. It contains your life's work. Journals filled with copied texts, sketches of forgotten symbols. It holds tinctures and powders, glass vials and brass instruments. The tools of an alchemist. The tools of a historian of plagues. As your small boat rows towards a hidden cove, the sheer scale of the island becomes apparent. The cliffs are colossal, like broken teeth biting at the sky. Waterfalls cascade down their faces, vanishing into the mist below. It feels ancient. A place left behind by time, untouched, or perhaps abandoned for a very good reason. You had pieced its location together from a dozen different sources. A footnote in a Byzantine medical text, describing sailors who spoke of an island where the earth itself was sick. A star chart from a fallen Moorish library, which marked a single, ominous blank spot in an otherwise meticulously detailed sea. And a fragment from an old order manuscript, a single cryptic line, where the blood of the earth weeps, the first carrier sleeps. All these threads, pulled together over years of patient, obsessive work, have led you here, to this silent shore. The boat grates against the beach. You step out, your boots sinking into sand the color of powdered charcoal. It is soft and fine, unlike any sand you have ever felt. You take a moment, standing at the edge of the water, looking up at the towering forest that marks the island's interior. The air is thick, humid. You can almost taste the greenness of it. The scent is overwhelming, not of flowers or decay, but of deep, ancient life, of moss that has grown for centuries, of leaves that have fallen and turned to soil 1,000 times over. You look back at your ship, a tiny, fragile link to the world you know. Then you turn your back on it and take your first steps into the unknown. The real work has just begun. You find a path, or what was once a path. It is faint, almost entirely swallowed by ferns and creeping vines. But it is there. Flat stones, laid by hand, now tilted and broken by the slow, relentless pressure of roots. Someone was here before. A long, long time ago. You follow it, pushing aside broad, waxy leaves that drip with condensation. The light beneath the canopy is dim, a perpetual twilight filtered through 1,000 layers of green. The trees are immense. Their trunks are thick as church pillars, their bark gnarled and dark, covered in phosphorescent fungi that cast a faint, eerie glow in the gloom. You walk for what feels like hours. The only sound is the soft crunch of your boots on the damp earth and your own steady breathing. The silence presses in on you. It is a profound, unnatural stillness. You realize you have not heard a single bird, not a single insect. The forest is alive, but it is utterly silent. This absence of sound is more unsettling than any roar or cry could ever be. It speaks of a dominance, a presence that has driven all other life away or simply quieted it. You place a hand on the cool, damp bark of one of the giant trees, feeling its ancient, living texture under your palm. It feels like you have stepped not just onto an island, but into a different time, a forgotten age. Your satchel feels heavier now. Inside, amongst your tools, is the reason you are so certain this is the place. A small, lead-lined box. Within it, resting on velvet, is a single, petrified rat's tooth. It was recovered from an archaeological dig beneath an old order chapter house in Italy. It predates the Justinian plague by centuries, and under alchemical analysis, it showed the faintest trace signature, the chemical echo of the macula. It was the oldest known sample. Proof that the curse was far more ancient than even the order had believed. The dig also uncovered a tablet that spoke of the tooth's origin. A single word was inscribed beneath a map of the stars, a name that did not appear in any language you knew. But the star pattern it was linked to was one you recognized, the same one from the Moorish chart, the one that pointed to this empty patch of sea. The path begins to climb, winding its way up the slope of the island's central mountain. The air grows cooler. Through a break in the trees, you see the peak, shrouded in a permanent crown of mist. That is where you are going. That is where the source must be. It is a slow, arduous climb. The stones of the path are slick with moss. You use your hands to steady yourself, gripping onto thick roots that snake across your way. You are an alchemist, a scholar, not an adventurer, but your quest demands this of you. It demands everything. Your mind is a library of theories about the macula. The order teaches that it is a corruption of the blood, an ancient evil that surfaces in times of great strife, a punishment, a pestilence. But your research has led you to a different hypothesis. You suspect it is not an evil, not in the moral sense. You believe it is a natural phenomenon, a biological process that humanity simply does not understand, something that has its own rules, its own life cycle. To your colleagues in the order, this is heresy. To them, the macula is a foe to be fought, a darkness to be contained. But you believe you cannot fight what you do not understand, and to understand it, you must find its beginning. You pause to rest, leaning your back against a rock outcropping. You take a sip of water from your flask. It tastes metallic, unsatisfying. You look around at the silent, colossal trees. You are utterly alone. More alone than you have ever been in your life. If you were to fall, if you were to fail, no one would ever know what became of you. Your name would just be another footnote in the Order's vast archives. Sophia, the alchemist who chased a myth and vanished. But the thought does not bring fear. It brings focus. The weight of your purpose settles on you, a familiar cloak. This is more important than your own life. It is about uncovering a truth that could save countless others in the centuries to come. A truth that has remained hidden for too long. You push yourself to your feet and continue the climb. And as you do, you see it. Ahead, through the trees. A structure. The straight, unnatural line of worked stone against the chaos of the forest. It is a ruin. A small watchtower, perhaps, or a shrine. Most of it has collapsed, a tumble of gray stones covered in thick ivy. But one wall remains partially intact, and on it, there is a carving. Your heart beats faster. You approach it slowly, almost reverently. You run your fingers over the stone, tracing the deep grooves. The symbol is weathered by centuries of wind and rain, but it is unmistakable. It is a serpent, coiled into a circle, eating its own tail, the Ouroboros, a symbol of eternity, of cycles, of alchemy. But this one is different. At the center of the coil, where there should be nothing, another image is carved. And where the serpent's head should be, the artist has etched the unmistakable, triangular face of a rat. It is a hybrid symbol, a fusion of known alchemy and the dark folklore of the plague. You have seen sketches of it once before, in a scorched manuscript that was supposedly destroyed for being heretical. It was called the Seal of the Prima Macula. You are here. You are truly here. This is not a fool's errand. The myth is real. You feel a tremor of excitement mixed with a cold shard of fear. You are standing on the edge of a discovery that will rewrite everything your order knows. Everything you know. You take out your journal and a piece of charcoal, your hands moving with practiced care. You begin to sketch the symbol, documenting every line, every curve. The texture of the stone feels cool and gritty under your fingertips as you work. The world outside this small clearing ceases to exist. There is only you, the stone, and the silent, watching forest. The symbol seems to stare back at you from the rock, a single, ancient eye challenging you to understand, to look deeper. Behind the ruined wall, the path continues. It is clearer here, less overgrown, as if this place was more important, more traveled. It leads directly towards the misty peak of the mountain, towards the heart of the island, towards the answer you came here to find. You finish your sketch, close your journal, and follow the path into the growing shadows. The path ends abruptly at a solid wall of rock, a sheer cliff face that vanishes upwards into the mist. For a moment, you feel a surge of disappointment, a dead end. But you have learned to look past the obvious. The texts spoke of a place that was hidden, guarded. You walk along the base of the cliff, running your hand along the cold, damp stone. You are searching for a seam, a clue. Your fingers trace the lines and cracks, feeling for any sign of human artifice. The rock is covered in moss and small, hardy ferns growing in the crevices. And then you find it. Not a doorway, but a series of carved handholds, so weathered and overgrown they are almost invisible. They lead upwards, to a narrow ledge about twice your height from the ground. It is a climb, a dangerous one, but there is no other way. You secure your satchel tightly, take a deep breath, and begin to ascend. The rock is slippery. Your fingers ache as you grip the small holds. You do not look down. You focus only on the next hold and the next. the world narrows to the few feet of rock in front of you. The feeling of the coarse, cold stone, the strain in your muscles, the sound of your own controlled breathing. You pull yourself onto the ledge. It is barely wide enough for your feet. You press your back against the cliff face, catching your breath. And you see that the ledge is not an end. It is a walkway that leads to a dark opening in the rock. A cave mouth, perfectly square, its edges too clean to be natural. An entrance. There are no doors, no gates, just an inviting, silent darkness. You take out a small tinderbox and a lantern from your satchel. With a few practiced motions, you strike a spark and bring a small, warm flame to life. The lantern casts a gentle, golden glow, pushing back the immediate gloom. You step across the threshold. The air inside is instantly different. It is cool and utterly still, and dry. The humidity of the jungle is gone. The scent has changed too. It smells of dust, of deep, ancient stone. And something else. A faint, sharp, metallic tang. An alchemist's scent. The smell of forgotten experiments. The entrance is a short tunnel that opens into a vast, cavernous space. You hold your lantern high, and the light shimmers across an impossible sight. You are standing in a chamber, carved from the very heart of the mountain. It is immense, larger than any cathedral you have ever seen. The ceiling is lost in the darkness above. The scale of it is breathtaking. It would have taken thousands of people centuries to build, or something else entirely. In the center of the chamber is a massive, circular stone table, easily the width of a house. Its surface is covered in a complex network of channels and basins, all interconnected. An alchemical apparatus on a gigantic scale. It is a place of great work. A laboratory for a giant. And the walls are covered, from floor to ceiling, in frescoes, faded but still visible in the lantern light. They are paintings that tell a story. You walk closer, your footsteps echoing in the vast silence. The images are hypnotic. They show a people. Tall, elegant figures, neither male nor female. They are not human. Their limbs are too long, their faces too serene. In the paintings, these beings are shown working with the land. They seem to be drawing something from it. A kind of energy, depicted as a shimmering silver light. You move along the wall, following the narrative. The next panel shows the silver light being channeled, concentrated. It is brought to a single figure, a child of their race. And as the energy enters the child, it changes. It turns from silver to a dark, pulsing crimson, the first carrier. Your hand trembles slightly as you hold the lantern. This is not the history of a disease. This is the history of a creation, a ritual. The next frescoes are more chaotic. They show the power manifesting, not as sickness, but as a force. The child carrier is shown commanding the earth, shaping stone, communing with animals, and with the rats. Thousands of them, moving as a single, disciplined wave at the carrier's command. They were not a symptom of the curse. They were an instrument of its power. Then, the story turns dark. The images show conflict. Other figures, their own people, turning against the carrier. The power has become too great, too unstable. The final panels show destruction. The city of this ancient race crumbling. The land itself turning barren. And the carrier, now an adult, being sealed away deep beneath the earth, a slumbering god put to sleep by its own terrified creators. You stand there, in the quiet heart of the mountain, your mind reeling. The Macula was not a random blight upon humanity. It was an inheritance, a piece of an ancient, alien technology or magic, dormant in the bloodlines of a few, waiting for the right conditions to awaken. The thresholds, the stress, the pain of the world acting as a key in a lock. You have found the genesis. But the truth is so much larger, so much more terrifying than you could ever have imagined. The Order believes they are fighting a disease. They are wrong. They are fighting the echo of a lost god. You move away from the wall of frescoes, deeper into the complex. There are other chambers leading off from the main hall. One is a library, but there are no books. Instead, the walls are lined with thousands of small niches. In each niche rests a sealed clay cylinder, a scroll case. You take one down. It is cool and smooth to the touch. The cap is sealed with a hard black wax, stamped with the same rat-headed Ouroboros you saw outside. You carefully break the seal. Inside is a delicate scroll of what looks like hammered metal foil, incredibly thin. You unroll it. The characters are alien, unlike any script you have ever seen. They are elegant, flowing, more like art than writing. But amongst the alien text, there are diagrams, alchemical diagrams, constellations, and anatomical drawings of a human heart, a human brain, with notes showing how the macula binds to them, how it changes them. And you find a single word you recognize, repeated over and over, a word from an ancient, dead language your studies had touched upon, a word that means resonance. The macula does not just infect its host. It resonates with them. It harmonizes with their blood, their spirit. It is a symbiosis, a terrifying, world-altering partnership. This changes everything. The carrier is not a victim. They are a catalyst. You stand in the silent library, the thin metal scroll in your hands. The weight of this knowledge is immense. It feels heavier than the mountain above you. This is the secret the Order has been blind to for centuries. They have been trying to cure a condition that was never just a disease. They have been trying to silence an echo that has been waiting, patiently, to find a voice. Hours pass, or perhaps it is only minutes. Time seems to have lost its meaning in this place. You sit on the floor of the great chamber, your back against the cold stone of the central table. Your lantern sits beside you, its fuel slowly burning away, its light a small, defiant island in an ocean of ancient darkness. You have explored the other chambers. One was a forge, but for what, you cannot guess. The tools were made of a strange, dark metal that did not rust. Another room was filled with star charts, etched into crystal plates that seemed to glow with a faint inner light. This was a civilization of immense knowledge and power, a civilization that destroyed itself. You close your eyes, and you see the frescoes playing out in your mind, the serene, tall beings, the creation of the first carrier, the power, the fear, the end. It is a story as old as time itself, the story of creators terrified by their own creation. A story that humanity seems destined to repeat, over and over. You feel a profound sense of sorrow, not for yourself, but for them. For these forgotten people who reached for a power they could not control and were erased by it. And you feel sorrow for those who carry the echo of that power in their blood, unaware of the legacy they hold. The air in the chamber is so still, you can hear the soft whisper of your own blood in your ears. Or is it something else? A hum. A low, barely perceptible vibration that seems to come from the stone itself. The resonance. The island is not dead. It is sleeping. And your presence here, a spark of life and consciousness in the dark, is like a whisper in a silent room. You feel as though you are being observed, not by eyes, but by the place itself. The collective memory of what happened here, lingering like a phantom. You open your satchel and take out your journal. By the fading light of the lantern, you begin to write. You do not just copy the symbols or the diagrams, you write down your thoughts, your theories. The shattering of your old beliefs and the slow, terrifying formation of new ones. Your pen scratches against the parchment, the sound small and sharp in the immense silence. You write that the macula is not evil. It is a tool, a key. And like any key, its nature depends entirely on the door it is meant to open, and the intent of the hand that turns it. You write that the rats are not the plague. They are a symptom of the resonance, a physical manifestation of the carrier's connection to a deeper, chthonic energy. They are the carrier's will made real. You realize with a cold certainty that the Order's approach is entirely wrong. Their attempts to suppress the macula, to fight it with fire and alchemy, are like trying to fight a tsunami with a bucket. They are only making it angrier, more volatile. The only way forward is not suppression, but balance, harmony, understanding. But how could you ever make them believe you? They would call you a heretic, a mad woman. They would burn your research and lock you away. This knowledge is too dangerous. It goes against centuries of dogma. The burden of it settles on you. You are the sole custodian of this truth. A secret that could change the world, but a secret the world is not ready to hear. For now, it must be yours alone. You must study it, understand it, and find a way. A third way. Not the blind worship of the ancient ones, nor the blind fear of your order. A path of balance. Your lantern sputters. The flame shrinks, turning blue at the edges. It is almost out of fuel. The darkness at the edge of the light seems to press in, hungry to reclaim the space. It is time to go. You know you cannot stay here. This place is a tomb, a monument to a magnificent failure. To linger would be to invite the same fate. You carefully pack your journal, your sketches, the metal scroll. You look around the vast chamber one last time, trying to commit every detail to memory. The great table, the silent frescoes, the empty library. Before you leave, you do one last thing. You walk to the wall of the star chamber and find a loose fragment of the crystal plate on the floor. It is small enough to fit in your palm, cool and smooth. On its surface is a small part of a constellation that does not shine in your sky. You slip it into your pouch, a piece of evidence, a reminder that this was all real. Then, you extinguish your lantern, plunging the heart of the mountain back into the absolute darkness it has known for millennia. You turn and walk towards the entrance, your hand trailing along the wall to guide you. The square of gray light that is the tunnel exit seems impossibly far away. Emerging from the darkness of the cave back onto the ledge feels like being born. The air is fresh and damp, alive with the smell of the forest. The light is fading, the sky outside a soft violet. You did not realize you had been inside for an entire day. The climb down is more treacherous in the twilight, but your mind is elsewhere. As your feet touch the soft earth at the bottom of the cliff, you look back up at the hidden entrance. It is invisible again, just another shadow on a wall of rock. A secret kept. The walk back down the mountain is different. The forest no longer feels menacing. It feels sad. The profound silence is not one of threat, but of mourning. You are walking through a graveyard, a beautiful, living monument to a dead race and their catastrophic legacy. The ancient trees seem to watch you pass, their silent vigil undisturbed. You see the world with new eyes now. Everything is connected. The blood in your veins, the soil under your feet, the stars hidden by the clouds above. It is all part of the same great breathing system. A system the macula is deeply, fundamentally a part of. When you reach the black sand of the cove, your ship is waiting. A boat has been sent to shore. The sight of your companions, of a familiar human face, is both a comfort and a strange shock. They have no idea where you have been, what you have seen. You have crossed an ocean of time, visited a dead world, and returned, all while they simply waited. As the small boat rows you back to the ship, you do not speak. You just watch the island. Its dark mass is silhouetted against the last light of the day. It gave you its secrets, or some of them, and in return, it took something from you, your certainty, your simple, academic view of the world. Back on deck, you give the order to raise the anchor. As the ship begins to pull away from the silent shore, the mist begins to roll in again, thicker this time. It wraps around the island, shrouding it once more. Slowly, the cliffs and the forest dissolve into the gray until the island is gone, as if it was never there at all. Just an empty patch of sea on a forgotten chart. But you know it is there, and you carry its memory with you now, in your journal, in your mind, and in the small, cool piece of crystal in your pocket. The journey to the island is over. But your true journey, the one that will consume the next 15 years of your life, has just begun. You now have the beginnings of a map, not to a place, but to a truth that will lead you to a boy named Hugo and a sister who will do anything to protect him. Your path is now set. You will be the protector of this knowledge, the guardian of the balance, the one who understands that the curse and the cure might just be two sides of the same ancient coin. And as your ship sails into the night, towards a world that does not know what sleeps beneath it, you feel the profound weight of your purpose. It is a lonely path, but it is yours. And for now, as the gentle waves rock you towards a fitful sleep, it is enough. The silence that follows is not a peaceful one. Not yet. It is the hollow, ringing silence that comes after a great and terrible noise has suddenly stopped. You feel it in your bones, in the air against your skin. The oppressive weight that had settled over this island, the thrumming, hateful energy of the macula, it has gone, like a fever breaking. You stand in the ruin of it all, a witness to the end of a nightmare, and all you can hear is the soft scuff of Amisha's boots on the stone floor. You look at her, the girl who fought with the ferocity of a cornered lioness, the sister who carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. Now, she looks impossibly small, fragile as a bird's wing. The fire in her has not been extinguished, but it has banked low to a single, pained ember. You have seen many people break in your time at sea. You have seen ships go down and fortunes lost, but you have never seen a heartbreak like this. It is a wound not of the body, but of the soul. A piece of her has been cut away, and you know, with the certainty of a navigator reading the stars, that the scar will never fade. Your gaze drifts around the vast chamber. The strange, organic structures the macula created now seem inert, brittle. They look like the abandoned husks of some deep-sea creature, washed ashore and bleached by the sun. The pulsing, sickly light has faded, replaced by the cool gray light of an approaching dawn, filtering through a crack high above. It touches the twisted columns and petrified nests, revealing them for what they are. Not a seat of power, but a tomb. A prison built of bone and blood. You feel the cool, solid wood of your crossbow in your hand. A familiar weight in a world that has become unmoored from all logic. You were her guide, her transport, a means to an end. You told yourself it was just a job, another dangerous passage for a client with deep pockets. But that was a long time ago. Before the rats, before the count, before this descent into a myth. You came here seeking a treasure, a legend. And you found one, of a sort. A story of love and loss so profound it could remake the world, or unmake it. The path back to the surface feels longer than it did on the way down. Every step is heavy. The air grows warmer, cleaner. You can begin to smell the salt of the sea again, a scent you had almost forgotten. It is the smell of home, of freedom, of a world that operates on tides and winds, not on ancient curses and the whispers of a malevolent plague. You wonder if Amicia can smell it too, or if her world has been narrowed to the single point of her grief. You think of the sea, vast and deep. It holds countless secrets, countless stories swallowed by the waves. This island, La Cuna, will be another one, a place on a chart to be avoided, a whispered legend among sailors who have heard things on the wind. The story of the child of embers and the island that burned. You will carry that story with you, locked away in the chest of your memory, alongside the storms you have weathered and the shores you have seen. It is a heavy cargo, heavier than any gold or spice. As you finally emerge from the darkness of the underground sanctuary, the morning sun is a physical blow. It is pale but brilliant. It washes over the island, making the dew on the scorched leaves glitter. The world looks unchanged. The sky is the same soft blue. The waves crash against the shore with the same timeless rhythm. It seems impossible that such a quiet, beautiful morning could follow such a night of sorrow. But the world does not stop for our tragedies. It continues its turn, indifferent. And perhaps, you think, there is a strange comfort in that. The sun will continue to rise. The tide will continue to fall. And your ship, the sea snake, waits for you in the harbor, ready to carry you away from this island of whispers, now fallen silent. Come now. Let the day fall away. Find a place of quiet comfort and close your eyes. There is nothing more required of you. Simply be here and breathe. Imagine you are standing on the deck of a wooden ship, not a vessel in distress, not a craft on an urgent mission. This is a ship at rest, anchored in a calm, moonlit bay. The world is asleep. The only movement is the gentle, almost imperceptible rock and sway of the deck beneath your feet, a slow, rhythmic cradle that the ocean has perfected over millennia. You lean against the cool, smooth wood of the rail. It has been worn down by time, and by the hands of sailors long gone. The air is cool and tastes of salt and clean night. Above you, the sky is a vast expanse of deep, dark velvet, scattered with the cold, sharp diamonds of distant stars. There is no sound but the soft, liquid whisper of water lapping against the hull, a gentle shushing sound, over and over. This is a place for thoughts to settle, a place to look back not with urgency, but with quiet contemplation. You are here to think about Sophia. Not the adventurer, not the navigator, but the scholar, the witness. You are here to consider the echo she left behind, an echo that speaks of something far older than any kingdom, any map, any life. You are here to think about the macula. Forget for a moment the stories of plague and rats. Set aside the images of fire and fear. Try to see it as Sophia might have, after years of study, after sifting through forgotten texts and piecing together whispers from the ruins of the past. See it not as a curse, but as a current, an ancient crimson river flowing through the veins of the world itself. The macula, in its quietest moments, is a thing of immense power, a force of nature, as impersonal and as profound as gravity or the turning of the seasons. It is not evil. A hurricane is not evil. A volcano is not evil. They simply are. They are expressions of the world's deep, hidden life. And so too is the macula. In the stillness of this night, you can almost feel that truth. The world is not just rock and water. It is a living thing. It has a pulse, a breath, a bloodstream. And the macula, it is part of that blood. An ancient, potent element that, for most of history, lies dormant, sleeping. Sophia knew this, or perhaps she came to feel it, that the stories of its cruelty were only one side of the coin. They were the story of what happens when that deep, elemental power touches the small, fragile lives of human beings. When a force that measures time and ages brushes against lives that measure it in heartbeats. The result is often tragic. It is often painful. But it is not born of malice. It is born of contact. A meeting of two vastly different scales of existence. Like a child trying to hold a star in their hands, the star is not trying to burn them. It is simply being what it is, a thing of fire and light. Let's go deeper. Let's drift back in time, following the whispers that Sophia chased across oceans and through forgotten libraries. Let us try to find the source of this river. Let us look for the prima macula, the first blight. Picture a room. It is not grand. It is small and filled with the quiet, comforting clutter of a life dedicated to knowledge. Books are stacked on every surface. Some are bound in fine leather. Others are simple collections of parchment tied with string. Scrolls are tucked into clay pots in the corners. Charts and maps, covered in handwritten notes, are pinned to the wooden walls. The air here smells of old paper, of drying ink, and the faint, sweet scent of beeswax from the single candle that illuminates the space. Its light is soft and warm, casting long, dancing shadows that make the room feel alive, as if the knowledge held here is breathing gently in the dark. You are sitting at a heavy wooden desk. In front of you, a book lies open. The script is unfamiliar, the language ancient. But you, like Sophia, can decipher it. You can see the story taking shape between the strange, elegant letters. It speaks of a time before the Order, before the Inquisition, before the world had a name for the plague that would one day scour it. It speaks of the blood of the earth. It does not use the word macula. It uses a word that translates more closely to the bloom or the awakening. It describes it as a cycle, a season of the world itself, as inevitable as winter. A time when the life force of the planet becomes concentrated, potent. It gathers in certain bloodlines like rain gathering in a deep well. These ancient writers did not see it as a sickness. They saw it as a profound connection, a dangerous honor. To carry the macula was to be a part of the world's most secret, most powerful process. You became a vessel for a power that could reshape life and death. The text speaks of it with a kind of fearful reverence. This is the prima macula, the original state. Not a disease to be cured, but a phenomenon to be understood, to be balanced. The old words describe rituals, not of healing, but of soothing. Ways to calm the carrier, to help them contain the immense energy welling up inside them. It speaks of quiet places, of sacred groves and deep caves, places where the pulse of the earth was strong and could help anchor the carrier. You trace a diagram with your finger. It shows a human figure, and from their heart, lines spread out like the roots of a tree, connecting them to the world around them. The text explains that when this connection is strong, the power is stable. It is when the carrier feels alone, afraid, or cut off from the world that the power becomes volatile, uncontrollable. Sophia must have found texts like this, fragments, a piece of a scroll here, a faded passage in a book there. She would have spent years putting the puzzle together. Imagine the quiet thrill of discovery. The dawning realization that the monster the world feared was, in fact, a misunderstood part of its own soul. It is the kind of discovery that changes you. It isolates you. How could you explain this to a world that only saw the devastation? She learned of the thresholds, the stages of the macula's awakening within a carrier. The first, a subtle change in the blood. The second, a deeper connection, the ability to influence other living things. The final threshold, the text becomes fragmented here. The words are laced with warnings. It speaks of the carrier becoming a pure conduit, a focal point for the raw power of the Earth's life force. It speaks of the nebula, a sea of pure life and death. This isn't a medical textbook. It reads like a work of poetry, of myth. It is trying to describe something that exists beyond the limits of scientific language, something that must be felt to be understood. The loneliness of this knowledge is a tangible thing in this quiet room. It feels like the weight of the book in your hands. It is heavy with truths that the world is not ready to hear. Sophia was a sailor, a pragmatist. But to understand the macula, she must have had to become something more, a mystic, a philosopher. She had to learn to read between the lines, to see the world not as a collection of objects, but as a web of interconnected energies. She would have realized that the key was not a cure. It was never about a cure. It was about balance. And at the heart of that balance, there is always a relationship, a bond, the carrier and the one who walks beside them, the protector. Let's leave this dusty room now. Let the candle burn down. Let us walk somewhere green, somewhere alive. Imagine you are walking through a forest. It is ancient. The trees are huge, their trunks like the pillars of a great green cathedral. Sunlight filters down through the dense canopy in shifting, dappled patterns. It illuminates motes of dust and pollen dancing in the still air. The atmosphere is peaceful, reverent. You can smell the rich, dark earth beneath your feet, a scent of damp soil and decaying leaves that speaks of endless cycles of life and death. The only sounds are the gentle rustle of leaves in a high, unfelt breeze and the distant, melodic call of a bird. You feel a profound sense of peace here, a sense of belonging. This is the perfect place to think about the bond, the sacred, tragic dance between the carrier and the protector. It is a concept that goes beyond family, beyond love, beyond duty. It is a symbiotic relationship forged in the heart of the Macula's fire. The carrier, like young Hugo, is the heart. They are the well into which the earth's life force pours. They feel everything. The pain of the world, its joy, its fear. Their emotions are amplified 1,000 times. Their connection to life is so profound that their own feelings can ripple outwards, shaping reality. A wave of fear can summon a tide of death. A moment of peace can make flowers bloom out of season. They are immensely powerful, but they are also immensely vulnerable. They are an open nerve, exposed to the raw, unfiltered currents of existence. Without an anchor, they would be overwhelmed. They would be swept away by the power they carry, becoming nothing but a vessel for chaos. That anchor is the protector. The protector, like Amisha, is the shield. Their role is not just to fight with a sling or a crossbow. That is the smallest part of their duty. Their true purpose is to be the rock in the storm. They are the steady hand, the calm voice, the unwavering presence that tells the carrier, "You are not alone. I am here. You are safe." Their love, their devotion, is a shield of a different kind. It is an emotional and spiritual shield. It creates a space of safety around the carrier, a bubble of calm in a sea of overwhelming sensation. It is the protector's belief in the carrier's humanity that keeps that humanity intact. They constantly remind the carrier that they are more than the macula. They are a person, a brother, a child. Sophia, in her travels, must have seen this relationship play out in the old stories. She would have seen the patterns. She would have understood that the protector's own state of mind was critical. When the protector is calm and resolute, the carrier is stable. When the protector gives in to fear, to grief, to despair, their shield weakens. The storm breaks through. The very love that protects the carrier can become the trigger for their power's destructive release. Imagine the weight of that responsibility. It is a burden almost too heavy to comprehend. To know that your own emotional state directly impacts the fate of someone you love, and by extension, the world around you. To know that a moment of weakness, a single tear shed at the wrong time, could have catastrophic consequences. You stop walking and rest your hand against the rough, mossy bark of an ancient tree. The bark is cool and solid beneath your palm. It feels grounding. A silent, living thing that has stood in this spot for centuries, witnessing the passing of seasons, untroubled by the frantic pace of human lives. This is the tragedy at the heart of the Macula. The bond that is required for balance is also the source of the greatest possible pain. The protector must love the carrier unconditionally, but that very love makes them vulnerable. When the carrier suffers, the protector suffers, and that suffering can create a feedback loop, a spiral of pain and power that consumes them both. Sophia would have understood this, not as a curse, but as a law of nature. A law of this strange, esoteric science she was uncovering. For every action, an equal and opposite reaction. The more powerful the bond of love, the more devastating the consequences of its breaking. She was not a sentimental woman, but she must have looked upon this dynamic with a kind of profound, sorrowful respect. It is a love story written in blood and fire. She, who sailed the seas and faced down pirates and storms, would have recognized this as the most dangerous voyage of all. The journey into the heart of another person's soul, carrying the fate of the world on your shoulders. It is a journey that requires a strength far beyond the physical, a resilience of spirit that few possess. And what of those who tried to interfere? The Order. They saw the carrier as a weapon, a subject for study. They saw the protector as an obstacle. They never understood. They tried to replace the bond of love with the shackles of alchemy and control. They believed they could master the macula by breaking the spirit of the child who carried it. They could not have been more wrong. They only ever succeeded in creating the very monsters they claimed to be fighting. Their failure is a testament to the truth Sophia was uncovering. You cannot control a force of nature. You can only learn to live in balance with it. You cannot command the ocean. You can only learn to build a ship that can sail its waves. The forest grows quieter as the light begins to fade. The sun is setting, casting long, golden rays through the trees. It is time to move on. There is one last place we must visit to understand Sophia's search. A place of isolation, a place of beginnings. An island. The air is different here. It is heavy with mist and the sharp, clean smell of the sea. You are standing on a beach of dark, volcanic sand. The sand is cool and damp beneath your bare feet. The waves are not crashing here. They are gentle, rhythmic, sighing as they slide up the shore and then whisper back into the ocean's embrace. The island rises up behind you, a silhouette of jagged peaks and ancient trees, all softened and made mysterious by the thick, swirling mist. The only colors are the gray of the sea, the black of the sand, and the deep, dark green of the island's vegetation. The world feels muted, quiet, as if it is holding its breath. Islands have always been special places in human stories. They are worlds unto themselves, places of isolation where things can be hidden or forgotten, places where life can evolve in unique ways, sheltered from the influences of the mainland. Places of origin and places of endings. Sophia's journey, we now know, will lead her to an island like this, a place tied to the origins of the Macula, a place where the first whispers of the awakening were heard. This is where her search for knowledge would have become a physical journey, a descent into the heart of the mystery itself. Imagine walking away from the beach into the misty forests of the island. The path is old, marked by stones that have been worn smooth by time and weather. The trees here are twisted into strange shapes by the constant sea wind. Moss hangs from their branches like long, gray beards. It is quiet. The mist dampens all sound, making you feel as though you are the only person for 100 miles. Here, Sophia would have looked for signs, not just in books, but in the land itself. She would have been looking for the place where the veil between the world we see and the world the Macula touches is at its thinnest, a place of power, a nexus. You come to a clearing, and in the center of the clearing there are ruins. They are not the harsh, angular ruins of a fortress or a castle. They are older, great curved stones covered in carvings. They are arranged in a circular pattern, like a collapsed stone flower. This was not a place of war. It was a place of worship, a place of observation. You run your hand over one of the stones. The surface is rough and cold, beaded with moisture from the mist. The carvings are strange. They do not depict kings or battles. They show patterns, spirals, wave-like forms. And at the center of many of them, a recurring symbol, a circle, from which 3 lines curve outwards. The symbol of the macula. But here, it is not presented as a mark of horror. It is central. It is depicted like the sun in a solar system, a source. This is what the Order tried to erase or co-opt. An older understanding, a culture that did not fear the macula, but revered it. They saw it as a sacred part of the world. They built these monuments not to contain it, but to honor it, to be closer to it. Perhaps they had their own carriers and protectors. Perhaps they had found a way to live in true balance with the power. What happened to them? The ruins give no answer. Perhaps their balance failed. Perhaps they were wiped out by outsiders who saw their beliefs as heresy. Or perhaps their cycle simply came to an end. All things do. Even those who live in harmony with the deepest forces of the world must eventually fade away. This is the kind of truth Sophia would have unearthed. She would have stood in a place just like this, feeling the weight of the centuries, the silence of a people long vanished. She would have understood that the Macula is a story with many chapters. The chapter of fear and plague that her world was living through was just one. There were others before it, and there would be others after. Her quest was not just to save one person or to find one cure. It was to restore a lost memory, to remind the world of a truth it had forgotten, that the things we fear are often just things we do not understand, and that control is not the only path to safety. Sometimes the path is acceptance, understanding, balance. The mist begins to thin slightly, and for a moment you can see the peak of the island's central mountain. There is something up there. The ruins of a more recent structure. Something built by the Order, perhaps. A laboratory, an observatory, a prison. They would have come here to the source of the power and tried to chain it, to bottle the hurricane. Their failure is written in the silence of this island, in the crumbling stones of their own forts. The Macula is not a thing that can be held. It is a river that will always find its own path to the sea. Sophia's wisdom was in not trying to build a dam, but in learning to read the currents. The journey is almost at an end. We have followed the whispers from a quiet ship to a dusty library, through a sun-dappled forest, and to this misty, forgotten island. We have seen the Macula not as a monster, but as a mystery. A deep, ancient, and powerful part of the world's own life. Let us return now for a final thought. Back to the quiet deck. Back to the stars. You are back on the ship. The night is deeper now, the stars brighter. The gentle rocking of the boat is a comforting, steady presence. The journey through memory and myth is over. All that is left is the quiet of the present moment. Sophia's legacy is not a treasure map. It is not a sword or a crown. It is a way of seeing, a perspective. She looked at the blood of the world, the prima Macula, and did not flinch. She saw its terrible beauty, its potential for creation as well as destruction. She understood that it was a force of connection. In a world that was pulling itself apart with wars and borders and beliefs, the Macula was a reminder that everything is linked. The blood in a child's veins is connected to the pulse of the planet. The love between two people can hold back a tide of chaos. A single moment of fear can change the course of history. It is not a comfortable truth. It is a demanding one. It asks for immense strength, profound empathy, and a willingness to accept that some things are beyond our control. We are small parts of a much larger, much older story. And our role is not always to be the hero who slays the dragon. Sometimes it is to be the scholar who learns the dragon's name, who understands why it breathes fire, and who finds a way to live beside it. The macula will continue its cycle. It will sleep for centuries, and then it will wake. It will find new carriers, and new protectors will rise to meet them. It is a story that will be told again and again in different ages, with different faces. Sophia's gift was to preserve the grammar of that story, so that those who came after her might have a chance to read it, to understand, and perhaps to find peace. Look up at the stars one last time. They are so distant, so ancient. Their light has traveled for thousands of years to reach you on this deck. They have witnessed everything: the rise and fall of mountains, the birth and death of species, the endless, cyclical story of the macula. They keep their silence. They keep their watch. They are a reminder of the scale of things, a comfort in their cold, quiet majesty. And so, the story of Sophia and the macula finds a moment of quiet, a pause in the telling. Her ship is at anchor, her work is done, for now. And you, here in the stillness, can let these thoughts drift away. Let them become like the stars themselves, distant, peaceful, fading into the soft darkness of a coming sleep. And so, as our journey through these stories comes to a close, you can let it all go. Let the images of islands and forests, of ancient books and starlit seas, dissolve and fade. They can drift away now, like embers on a night breeze, leaving only warmth and quiet behind. The ship rocks gently. The world is peaceful. There is nothing left to analyze, nothing to solve. The tales are told. All that remains is this moment of perfect stillness, a space for you to rest. There is nothing more required of you, nothing at all. It is time to let the quiet tide of sleep carry you away to your own peaceful shore. Sleep well. Her legacy is not one of grand theories or ancient prophecies. It is written in calloused hands and a steady gaze. It is the wisdom of the tide, the knowledge that you cannot command the ocean. You can only learn its moods, respect its power, and chart a course through its currents. The Order tried to build a dam. Sophia simply learned how to sail. You feel that wisdom now on the deck of her ship. The world of men, with its armies and its plagues, feels very far away. Out here, the only laws that matter are the wind and the water. The cool night air carries the scent of salt and distance. It feels clean. It feels like a promise of somewhere else, a place untouched by the macula's shadow. Sophia knows there is no such place. Not really. The macula is not a sickness that can be outrun. It is woven into the world's oldest blood. But distance offers perspective. It offers a moment to breathe, a moment to remember that the world is larger than any single tragedy. The ocean is vast, and the problems of one small family, however terrible, are just a single story in an endless library of tales. She understood the price of knowledge. The Order sought to contain the macula, to control it through ritual and stone. They built walls, both physical and intellectual. But in doing so, they only isolated themselves from the truth. They saw the carrier as a vessel for a curse, a problem to be managed. They forgot about the child inside. They forgot about the beating heart. Sophia never forgot. She saw Hugo not as a carrier, but as a boy. A frightened, powerful boy who needed safety and love, not a cage. Her pragmatism was a form of compassion. Her refusal to be drawn into the Order's dogma was its own kind of moral clarity. She knew that sometimes the most sacred duty is simply to survive another day, to get your friends to a safe harbor. You lean against the ship's railing, the wood smooth and worn under your hands. It has been shaped by the sea, by countless journeys, much like Sophia herself. Every knot in the timber tells a story. Every faded patch of paint is a memory. This ship is not just a vessel. It is a testament to resilience. It is a floating piece of home in a world that offers very few. Think of the contrast. The cold, unyielding stone of the Order's sanctuaries, places of rigid belief and hidden fear. They were built to last forever, to withstand the ages. Yet they crumbled. They failed. Their legacy is one of dust and echoes, of a great and terrible mistake repeated through centuries. Then there is this ship, made of wood and rope and canvas. It is impermanent. It requires constant care, constant attention. It must bend with the waves or it will break. It is a living thing in its own way, and it endures. It carries life across the water. It offers a chance, however slim, of a new beginning. That is Sophia's philosophy in physical form. Flexible, practical, alive. Her experience as a smuggler, a Daruna, gave her a perspective the alchemists could never grasp. She had navigated treacherous coasts, dealt with dangerous people, and lived by her wits. She knew that rules were often made to be broken, that the neat lines on a map meant very little when you were caught in a storm. The world was messy, it was unpredictable, and the Macula was the ultimate storm. You watch her for a moment. She moves with an easy confidence, her hands sure on the tiller. She is a part of the ship, and the ship is a part of the sea. There is a quiet harmony in her actions. She is not fighting the world, she is moving with it. This is the lesson she tried to impart to Amicia. You cannot defeat the plague through force alone. You cannot protect Hugo by simply killing every threat. You must find a different way. A smarter way. The blood before the bloom. The phrase echoes in your mind. It speaks of the life that exists in the shadow of the curse. The everyday struggles, the small moments of connection, the fierce bonds of family. These are the things that truly matter. The Macula may be the grand, terrible orchestra, but the quiet melody of a shared glance, a whispered word of comfort, a steady hand on your shoulder, that is the music of humanity. It is a music Sophia never lost sight of. She was a link in a chain she never asked to be part of. A pirate queen caught in a drama of ancient bloodlines. But she did not falter. She adapted. She became the anchor that Amicia and Hugo so desperately needed. Not a mother, not a protector in the formal sense, but something just as vital. A guide, a pragmatist, a friend who would tell you the hard truth and then help you navigate it. As the ship cuts silently through the dark water, you look up at the sky. A canopy of stars stretches from one horizon to the other. They are impossibly distant, cold fires burning in the void. For centuries, people have looked to those same stars for guidance, for omens, for hope. They have charted their courses by them, both on the sea and in their lives. The Order believed the Macula was a cosmic event, tied to eclipses and celestial alignments. Perhaps it is. But Sophia's wisdom is more grounded. The stars are beautiful, yes, but the wind in the sails is what moves you forward. The state of the tide is what determines if you make it to port. You must pay attention to the world that is right here, the one you can touch and feel. This is the final, quiet lesson of her legacy. Do not lose yourself in the grand, terrifying story. Do not be defined solely by the struggle against the darkness. Remember the feel of the deck beneath your feet. Remember the warmth of a shared meal. Remember the rhythm of the waves. These small anchors are what keep you from being swept away. The journey with Sophia was a brief respite, a moment of clarity in a world descending into chaos. A reminder that even when surrounded by impossible forces, individual choices still matter. A kindness matters. A steady hand matters. A safe harbor for a single night can feel like salvation. The gentle rocking of the ship is a cradle. The whisper of the water against the hull is a lullaby. The story of the Macula will continue. Its cycles of bloom and dormancy are as inevitable as the tide. But for now, on this ship, under these stars, there is peace. There is the quiet strength of a woman who knows the sea. And there is the chance to simply rest. The blood has been shed. The bloom is yet to come. But here, in the in-between, there is only the calm of the open water, a deep, quiet stillness. And you can let go. You can drift. You can sleep.